Hi everyone, welcome back to Google IT Support Professional Certification course. This is Vinay speaking with you. So in the last previous session, we discussed about what is system administration, what are the roles and responsibilities of a system administrator. Today I would like to discuss about directory services. Any IT industry you name, as a IT expert, you should be aware about this directory services. Now there are a lot of directory services right now in the market. Today I would like to talk about one of the most popular directory service from Microsoft, which is called as Active Directory. So apart from Active Directory, so we have other directory services like LDAP, Open LDAP. Okay. So but today's session is completely dedicated to this directory services, Active Directory part 1. Now what is actually mean by directory? Now directory is nothing but the one which contains some information, like maybe your book, you're writing something in your book, that book is nothing but a directory. A telephone directory. So what is the use of telephone directory? It maintains the complete information, the phone numbers of each and every individual. So which is very simple, easy to search, because everything is organized in a proper hierarchical organized manner. So that is called as a directory. Now before I discuss in detail about this Active Directory, let's talk about something called as topologies. Now what do you mean by topology? Topology means the layout, the design, the architecture, how your computers are connected. Now there are two types of topologies are there. The first one, I am talking about logical topologies. The structure which we cannot see, the layout, the architecture of your network which we cannot see. Two types of logical topologies. So as you can see on the slide, first one, it is called as a workgroup model. It is also known as a peer-to-peer model. The second one, it is known as domain model. It is also known as client-server model. As an IT expert, to manage servers, first of all, you should be aware about these two things, topologies. I will try to discuss in detail what are the differences, advantages and disadvantages between these two. Now if you are comfortable with these two, then directory services knowledge will be very clear to you. Let us talk about first one, workgroup model. As already I told you, workgroup means it is a peer-to-peer model. Peer-to-peer means each and every computer will be acting as individual computer. One computer will not depend on another computer. Like in the old days, all the network used to be in workgroup environment. Okay, let's discuss first in detail what is workgroup. So let's go to the slide and discuss what is this workgroup. Workgroup model. I hope all of you know how to create user accounts. Maybe you have created so many times so many user accounts in your computers. If not, I will be showing you anyhow in the next sessions how to create a user. Let us say this is your computer in your home. In your home computer, you created a user, and your username, let us say for example, your name is something like Smith. So you created a user with your name, example like Smith. Let us say this computer name is 1. Maybe I am your neighbor. This is my computer name is 2, and I created a user with my name, example like John. Now one fine day, this Smith, he came to this John's home. He want to use this computer, but Smith doesn't know this John username or password. So what he is trying, he is trying to enter his username. So, Smith came to John computer and he is trying to log in. Can he log in? Answer would be he cannot log in. Now, what is the reason here? There are so many reasons. You are saying two different locations, maybe they are not connected. Even though they are connected together, Smith cannot log into system 2, John's computer, because by default all these computers will be in work group model. Now, what is work group model? How do you define it? Work group means it is collection of computers, a bunch of computers connected together. Now, where we can share the resources, like sharing resources from one computer to another computer, you can share the resources. But every computer will have a separate database. I will repeat my sentence again. So, what is work group? Work group, it is a network where computers are connected, but every computer will have a separate database. That means, if I create a user account in system 1, this user account will be stored in system 1 local database called as SAM database. SAM stands for Security Accounts Manager. Now, if I create a user account in system 2, now where is this system 2 details are stored, user details? In system 2 local hard disk, SAM database. That means every computer will have this database called as SAM, Security Accounts Manager. Now, when the Smith is trying to log in, a protocol called as NTLM, New Technology LAN Manager. This protocol checks the database. This is called as authentication protocol. Authentication means the one which checks the credentials. Now, this protocol is checking the credentials of Smith. Now, are they available in system 2? No. If system 2 does not know where is Smith, now can he log in? He cannot log in. Now, I want Smith to log into system 2. Smith should use system 2. So, what I have to do? I have to create a user account for Smith in system 2. If I create user, now can he log in? Now he can log in. Now, this is what is work group. Maybe for example, maybe John, vice versa. John came to system 1. John want to log in here. Now, John, can he log into system 1? He cannot log in, because John details are not found in system 1. I want John to log in. So, what I have to do? I have to create a user account for John. Now, he can log in. Maybe I have third machine. This is system 3. I want John as well as Smith to log into system 3. What I have to do? First, I have to create a user account John and Smith. Now, they both users can log into system 3. This is what is work group. Now, this is a simple example. Maybe in your home purpose I explained. Let us talk about a corporate level. Here I will take more than 2 computers. 4 machines I am using, more than 2. Now, this is a small office where all computers are connected to a switch. Already in the network fundamentals, you talked about switches, everything. For time being, switch is a centralized device, network centralized device, which connects all computers together. Now, my system names are like this: system 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now, 4 computers, how many number of employees? 4 employees. 4 number of employees. Now, whenever an employee come to the office as the IT administrator, what is your responsibility? Is to create a user account, which I will show you in the next sessions how to create a user. Now, for time being, I will create the user. Now, generally username will be employee name, like your name, my name, like in the previous example John Smith, that is the usernames. Now, here in this example, I will take some simple names like U1, maybe U2, U3, U4. 4 employees are there working on 4 computers, everything is working fine. One fine day, what happened is system 1 is down, system 1 is not working. It might be any problem, hard disk issue, RAM, hardware issue, software issue, it does not matter. What is the what I am trying to say? System 1 is down because of some unknown reasons. Now, IT administrator has to fix the problem. So, he will try to fix, but user 1 he is asking admin, system 1 is down. So, do I need to go home? Administrator is saying no, you do not need to go home. System 2 is free, user 2 will be coming late. When he is coming, you use system 2. This employee first person U1 came to system 2. U1 want to use system 2, but U1 with what username he will log in? With his username, because I do not know my colleague's username. Do you know your colleague's username? No. So, he will try to log in with his name like U1 and his password. Can he log in? Answer is no, because that is what I explained in the previous example. Every computer will have a separate database. In a workgroup environment, every computer will have a separate database. By default, all computers will be workgroup. That means you just purchased bunch of computers, you install the OS, you connected them to switch. It is a network, but what type of network? A workgroup network. Workgroup means every computer will be acting as individual machine. Every computer will have a separate database. So, this user 1 he can't log into system 2. If user 1 want to log in as administrator, what you have to do? You have to create a user account for U1. Now, can he log in? Now, he can log in. Maybe after some time U2 came, because already I said he is coming late to the office. Directly he went to system 2, but system 2 is busy. Administrator is saying sit in system 3. User 3 his office work is done, he left home. So, U2 want to work here, but can he work here? No, he can't log in here, because U2 details are not found in system 3. So, what administrator will do? He create a user account for U2. Now, he can log in. Administrator got an idea. I want all my 4 employees to use all 4 computers, or 4 users should be able to log into all 4 computers. So, what administrator will do now? He will create 4 user accounts in system 1. He will create 4 user accounts in system 2. 4 user accounts here, 4 user accounts here. Now, can he log in? Can everyone can log into any computer? Yes. Total how many accounts I created? 16. 4 employees, but 16 accounts. How many computers? 4 computers. Not an issue. Maybe one user 1 minute, I will spend my 16 minutes of time, I will waste my 16 minutes of time, I will create these 16 user accounts. Let us say network is expanding, company is developing, more projects are coming. More projects, 4 employees, that manpower is not enough. What company will do? Organization will hire more number of employees. So, what happened is company developed, in the place of 4, this is just number is just an example, in place of 4 I have 400 computers. How many number of employees? 400 employees. That now this is a big company, okay, large organization. 400 computers, 400 employees. What is our aim? All 400 employees should be able to log into all 400 computers. So, what I want? All 400 employees should log into system 1. So, I have to create how many accounts? 400 accounts. How many minutes? 400 minutes. How many hours? Maybe 5 to 6 hours I have to waste here. I have to repeat the same thing here. Same thing in system 3, same thing in system 4. Is my work done? No. Because how? Because I do not have 4, I have 400 computers. So, in all 400 computers, I have to create 400 users. So, total how much? 1,60,000 accounts I have to create. 1,60,000 minutes I have to spend. How many hours? You do not need to calculate now. How many days? Will it be completed in a week? It might take a month, it might take a year also. That means you are selected as an IT administrator in this organization. Now, what is your first year job? Creating user accounts. 24/7, 365 days, you have to go on creating the users. Now, do you want to work like this? Now, no one want to work like this. This is a hard working administration. This is a typical administration. Maybe you wasted your 1 year, maybe you are trying to create the users, employee is asking I need a software. Who has to provide the software? IT administrator. Now, will you tell him this year I am busy, next year I will provide? No, this is not how you want to work. Immediately you should be able to provide him whatever he is asking. Maybe you created one or that many number of users. One fine day user forget the password. This is one of the most common thing happens in the organization. Someday, every day one of the employee will forget his password. Now, who has to reset the password? Administrator. Now, where I will reset? For example, U1 he forgot his password. If I reset password in system 1, will it automatically affect in all computers? No. You have to go to all computers. How many computers? 400 computers. Maybe you have to waste your next 6 months resetting only passwords. Now, this is not how we want to work. Now, what I am trying to show you in this example, this work group model, the first model which I told you, peer-to-peer model, this is not recommended for big companies. Small company, 4 computers, 4 employees, go ahead, work group. But when the network size is getting increased, work group model is not recommended. This is where administrators will be thinking to convert their work group model to second type of model called as domain model, which is also known as client server model. So, what is this disadvantage here? Technically speaking, in work group model, we do not have centralized database, we do not have centralized management, we do not have centralized authentication also. I will explain all these 3 in detail. For time being, now centralized database, are we creating user accounts only in one machine? Now, we are going to every computer. Are we resetting password only from one machine? We are going to every machine. So, management database is not centralized in work group. So, this is not recommended for big companies. That is the reason every company administrators will convert their existing work group network to domain. What is domain? Domain, it is also known as client server model. Client server model means we will be having employee computers. Apart from all these employee computers, what we will have? We will have a server. Which is connected to this network. Server means, server is nothing but it is a robust computer with good hardware, which provides services, which is having server operating system. Like there are so many things I can tell about a server. Server is a robust machine with good hardware, which provides services running with server operating system like 2012, 2008, etc. Apart from all these things, according to today's class, directory services session, server is nothing but the one which provides, the one which maintains the complete information about your network. It stores everything, all the users, computers, printers, groups, all your network infrastructure you want to store in one place, you can store. That we are calling it as a server today. Okay, for example, in the slide, so I have how many number of employees? So, if you check the slide once, so we are saying we are taking an example of 400 employees. Now, where I will create all the users, I do not go to every computer and create. I will create all the user accounts here. It might be 4 users or 400 users, everything I will create in the server. Not only users, computers details, printers, all your network information I will store in one place, and that computer we will call it as a server. This is called as centralized database. I do not go to every computer and create the users, I will create everything in the server. I do not go to every computer and manage the users. For example, user is saying, user 4 is or user 1 is saying, I forgot my password, administrator. Now, as administrator, I will not go to system 1 or system 2 to reset the password. I will reset the password from the server. So, management is centralized management. Even authentication is centralized. Authentication means anyone want to log in, they have to contact the server. User want to log in from system 2, you reach server. User want to log in from system 3 or system 4, you have to contact server. In workgroup model, we talked about a protocol NTLM, authentication purpose. Now, this is domain model. Domain model authentication protocol in Windows will be Kerberos. It is authentication protocol. So, I will discuss in detail what is this Kerberos in a minute. For time being, user want to log in from any computer in the office, he has to contact the server, and how he is going to contact the server with the help of this protocol called as Kerberos. Now, this is what is actually domain model. I hope all of you clear like what is the difference between workgroup and a domain. Now, let me repeat again. Workgroup means it is a peer-to-peer model. Every computer will act as individual machine. Now, what are the disadvantages there? No centralized database, no centralized management. Work will be heavy. More number of computers, large network, workgroup model is not recommended. Big companies, they will choose domain model. What is domain model? Domain model, it is also known as client server model. That means you will have employee machines, end users. At the same time, what else you will have? You will have a server. What is server? It is a robust machine with good hardware. What is the use of server? In a domain model, server is the one which is going to store all the users information, all the computers information, all the printers information in one single centralized database. That is the advantage of domain model, centralized database. If database is centralized, what is the benefit? Management is also centralized. Management means I want to reset a password of a user, I do not go to every machine to redo that. From server I will do that. Even authentication is centralized. Anyone want to log in, you have to contact the server. Not only authentication, even authorization. Authorization means maybe you have a printer in the office. Who should take the printouts? Who should not take the printouts? Who should log into the computer? Who should not log into the computer? Giving access, denying access, everything you can do it from the server. That is nothing but authorization. Now, right now, what is our aim? How do you configure this server? The one which stores all the employees' details, the one which maintains all the users and computers of from one place. How do you configure that server? That is our topic today. So, if I want to configure a server like that, I need some services called as directory services. Okay. As I said, directory means the one which contains some information. Okay. So, information like what? So, information means users information, computers information, printers information, all this information I want to store in one computer, I need directory services. Now, Windows has so many directory services. Okay. So, from 2000 from NT actually. So, let us go back to slide once. So, Microsoft introduced directory services at the time of NT. Okay. So, in NT first time the directory services is called as NTDS, New Technology Directory Services. NT is nothing but the server OS operating system. After NT, next we have 2000 OS, 2000 server OS. In 2000 server operating system, the directory services is known as Active Directory. Okay, Active Directory. We will shortcut, we will call it as AD. In 2003 also, we have Active Directory. The next server operating system 2008, the name has been changed to Active Directory Domain Services. Right now in 2012, ADDS. Active Directory domain services. These are the this is the history of directory services in Windows. So, first in NT, New Technology Directory Services, NTDS. Now, name is saying new technology. Right now, new technology is Active Directory domain services. Okay, that means, for example, I have a computer. I want to make this computer as a server. What is server? According to today's session, server means it is the one which stores all the users information, all the computers information, all the printers information, all the groups information. It has to store everything. If I want to configure a server like this, I need directory services here. If your operating system is Windows, Microsoft, what directory services we have to install based on the operating system? They are the different directory services. So, in our practicals, we will be working on this 2012 operating system. That means, what I have to install here is ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. If I install Active Directory Domain Services here, this server is called as, this computer is called as a server. It has a technical name. We do not just call it as a server. The computer where these directory services are configured, Active Directory Domain Services, that computer technically called as domain controller. Shortcut we will call it as DC, domain controller. What is domain controller? Domain controller is the computer where Active Directory services are configured. What is Active Directory service? Active Directory service, it is used to store users, computers, printers, groups, all this information in one centralized database you want to store. You need service called as Active Directory. Now, we will talk about in detail about this Active Directory now. So, let us see the definition. What is this Active Directory? Okay, let me show the definition of this Active Directory once. Okay, just go back to the slide once. So, you can see what is the definition of Active Directory. So, Active Directory stores information about users, computers, groups, all your network resources you want to store in one place. We need this service called as Active Directory. And the computer where Active Directory is configured, that computer we are calling it as a domain controller. So, what is domain controller? Domain controller, it will have all this information, the users, computers, everything, and also it has some services which are used for authentication, like services like Kerberos. In the previous example, I talked about this Kerberos. So, whenever user want to log in, he will contact the server with the help of this protocol called as Kerberos. And what are the benefits of Active Directory? These are the benefits. Everyone will log in by contacting server using this protocol Kerberos. So, using Active Directory, you can centralize or decentralize the management. You can store everything in one server, maybe more number of computers, more number of users. You can divide the database also, like your head office one server, branch office one server, you can divide that. So, resources can be divided. To centrally organize and manage user computers, like you want to store everything in an organized manner, you can do that. Even you want to locate your network services, easily you can locate. So, these are the advantages of Active Directory. Now, Active Directory has some structures. Let us see what are these structures. So, in the slide you can see, so we have different types of structures. Structures of AD. First we have a structure called as domain. The next structure is called as tree, forest, site. These are the four major structures of Active Directory. Today we are here to talk about the first one, domain. In Active Directory, the first structure is called as domain. Now, how do you define this domain? Domain, it is a logical, secure, administrative boundary. This is nothing but domain. Domain is a logical boundary, secure boundary, administrative boundary. So, for example, here on the slide, so let us take an example to understand what is this domain. So, let us say I have a computer here. I want to configure this computer as a domain controller. If I want to configure a domain controller, I have to install Active Directory domain services, which we will see practically tomorrow how to configure in the next session. Okay, Active Directory domain services. Okay. So, now if I install this Active Directory domain services, that is a domain controller, automatically a logical boundary will be formed. This logical boundary, we will call it as domain. Whenever I draw a triangle, that means I am talking about a domain. Domain is represented with the help of triangle. Domain has a name, example like this. So, for example, let us say some xyz.com. Your company name .com, that is nothing but domain name. It is called as DNS domain name actually. A DNS domain name is nothing but a name with an extension. Microsoft.com, Facebook.com, Google.com, all these names are called as a DNS domain names. So, domain must and should have a domain controller. So, you can see there. So, I have a domain controller DC and the domain xyz.com. So, domain is a logical boundary. In this boundary, I have a DC. So, how I configure the DC? By installing ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. Now, can I have more than one server? Yes, you can have. But the first server I created is called as primary. Primary. The next server in the same domain, it is going to act as backup. Now, what is the use of domain controller? You create users, computers, printers, groups, everything. Accidentally primary is down, no need to worry, still you can run your office with the help of backup. That is the use of backup. There will be only one primary in the domain, but you can have multiple backups. So, maximum of 1200 backups you can have. But in this 1200, some servers can be read and write, some servers can be read only. Read only generally for branch offices. Maybe you have a head office. In the branch office, you need a server, you can configure. But the branch office no need a read and write server, we will configure a read only server, which I will talk about that one in detail later. Now, apart from this domain controllers, we will have employee computers also in the office. Everyone want to log in, they will contact the server to log in. Whatever the users computers I create will be stored in a database called as ntds.dat. This is called as Active Directory database file. This file, it is stored in this computer C drive, which I will show you practically in the next session where you can find out this file. This is a database file. Database means which contains all the users details. Whenever I create a user account in the server DC, that users will be stored in this ntds.dat file. Okay. So, this is what is domain and a domain controller. So, let me repeat again. So, domain means it is a logical boundary, domain controller means it is a server. Now, how do I configure the server? By installing the service called as Active Directory Domain Services. If I install Active Directory Domain Services, that particular computer is called as a domain controller. And by installing domain controller, you will be configuring domain also. Every domain will have a domain name, example like xyz.com, abc.com, microsoft.com, a company name with extension. It can be .com, .net, .in, whatever it is. Okay. So, this is about Active Directory introduction, directory services part 1. So, in the next session we will be talking about how to configure this directory server, how to create the users, how users will log in. All these things we will discuss in our next session. I hope the session is very informative to you. So, directory services. So, thank you everyone. So, this is Vinay Kumar signing off. Thank you all.
హాయ్ ఫ్రెండ్స్, ఎంత పెద్ద ప్రయాణమైనా ఒక్క అడుగుతోనే మొదలవుతుంది.